and Greater Spokane, showing you a little bit today. So today we're going to just do a little road trip, starting at Liberty Lake, which is behind me here. And Liberty Lake is on the Washington side of the border between Idaho and Washington. It's a small incorporated town on the very kind of east edge of Washington state. So the reason I'm doing the video is our temperatures dropped about a month ago, started cooling off, but they've been kind of steadily dropping. And when we get in the teens for nighttime temperatures and around freezing for daytime temperatures, the small lakes around Spokane start freezing. So again, this is Liberty Lake. What we're going to do is take a quick trip, road trip, and hit a handful of the lakes and just take a quick look, beginning of December, what the different lakes around here look like. So I'm going to go in a reverse clockwise pattern, I guess, from here, but I'm going to go here as a start, Liberty Lake, go north to Newman Lake, which are two lakes on the eastern edge of the Spokane area. And then I'm going to cross the border into Idaho. Then I'm going to go over to Hauser Lake, go around the bend up to Twin Lakes, lower and upper, and probably up to Spirit. Swap over to the front-facing camera, get a little bit more detailed picture for you guys. So that's Liberty Lake. Zooming in a little bit, as you can see, I don't know if it's very clear in the video, but it's frozen over pretty well. And a little bit earlier today, I saw a person kind of dead center of lake walking around. So it's frozen thick enough to walk on. It's, to me, seems still a little bit early, but I haven't been down to the lake to see. Usually 4 inches is my kind of cutoff. After 4, it's not really a big deal at all. So I haven't had a chance to go down and measure. Looking forward from here, the kind of beach that you see in front there, if it's a good freeze, when I say good freeze, still air, so no wind, and the temperature drops, you'll get a nice flat surface and you'll see ice skaters quite often out there. And I've been on the lake ice skating when it had froze from side to side, so you could skate all the way from this side to the other side and back. So it makes for a pretty awesome skating rink under the right conditions, and it's probably once a decade you have that kind of perfect freeze to get a really good surface. But as it warms up and cools, a lot of people make a hockey rink just off of this shoreline and be playing hockey and ice skating, and that usually stays pretty smooth and it kind of refreshes as it heats up and refreezes, or light snow falls on it and remelts, then refreezes. Okay, heading to lake number 2 for the day, which is Newman Lake. Newman Lake's kind of in that valley of mountains there to the left, but I wanted to take a quick snapshot from here. This is the road, or one of the roads into Newman Lake. Behind Newman Lake is Spokane Mountain, or Mount Spokane, sorry, where there's a ski resort. And then at the top of the mountain are some microwave and radio towers. And then the slopes are actually off to the right. As I'm thinking about it, as we go north, we'll probably be in a spot where we can take a look back at the mountain and see some of the slopes on the mountain. But today is lake day, so I'm kind of focused more on that. So this is the park at Newman Lake. We'll just do a quick look around the lake. I'll drive up a little bit further so we can get kind of a different view of it, but nice little community, another small lake in Washington State near the Idaho border, north of I-90. You tired of that deep snow? Come on, you can do it. Oh, that isn't fair, is it? Who's a good dog? You guys just noticed there's a herd of deer going across, which is kind of cool. Let's see if I can catch some of these guys. Yeah, kind of nice little treat. We're looking at the lake day. Okay, north end of Newman Lake, and then we're looking pretty much due south. There, lake kind of goes through between those 2 points and continues south to the left, where I was videoing by the park before. Yeah. There's an access road between Newman and Hauser Lake that's always kind of a pretty drive, so if you ever check out both lakes, you can go up to one, go over to the other, and go back out to Highway 53 and get out. Okay, made it over to Idaho. Next lake is Hauser Lake. So we're on the north end of Hauser Lake looking south. definitely a pretty day to visit lakes and go for a drive. So nothing too exciting. This is another small lake. This one's good for boating, fishing. Quite a few people fish off of this lake. Anything else exciting? Just another pretty lake, local to the area, east of Spokane. I mentioned earlier in a video that there's two Mica Peaks. I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch this with the sun shining, but they're both straight ahead of me. To the right highest peak is Mica Peak, Washington. To the left highest peak is Mica Peak in Idaho. I'm on the east edge of the lake, close to Embers Restaurant, which is a really good pizza place. Kind of laughed. Somebody left us some lure hung on a tree here. Obviously a little bit earlier in the season. But another pretty lake. Newman, Liberty, and Hauser are kind of close together, similar, quite a bit similar lakes. I think this one gets a little bit more fishing, just from what I've seen in the past. And where Liberty was frozen all the way across, Newman was frozen all but maybe a quarter of it, and this one's probably about maybe a third non-froze on the opposite side of where I'm at, which is the west side of the lake. So another view of Hauser Lake. This is from the south end of the lake at the Hauser Lake Park. See a nice little place to put in a boat. Good view of the lake. Good place to take the dog for a walk. We'll resume there. Okay, made it to lake number 4. This is Lower Twin Lake in Idaho, just north of Rathdrum. Smaller lake. It's one of the first lakes I got to go play around on when I was first moved up here. I had a girlfriend that had a friend that lived on this lake, so pretty fun. So there's a boat ramp at this end of the lake. If you can see my dog, she's thinking about coming out here, but she's not really sure yet because it's pretty deep. Just laugh at that. There's her head. Getting older, 12 years. She's not excited about the snow as she used to be. But yeah, let me zoom in a little bit. So there's a little creek that comes out the very end. We're at the lower lake. I've paddleboarded from here through the end, and there's a nice little channel that continues on for a ways that way. They just pushed a road onto the other side, so they built a couple houses across the way, which is new since I've been here. Nice little shoreline. I kicked myself in the pants right about there. There was a house for sale when I first thought about ever buying a house, clear back in the 80s, for about $80,000 with some beachfront. I kind of kicked myself. That would have been a smart move. Then we're going to be driving up the lake, and right where I'm kind of pointing out there, you can't really see it, but there's a channel that narrows through here, and then it continues through that spot up to Upper Twin, and we'll probably be taking a picture from that end, which is the middle of the total of Twin Lakes, but the connecting point between Upper and Lower Twin. So Lower Twin Lake. Paper logging roads above Rathdrum, above Lower and Upper Twin. Just the gate was open and had been plowed, so I thought, you know what, I'll just take a quick trip up here to give you guys an idea. That's the flatlands at the upper end of Upper Twin, and I'll get to the lake, Upper Twin, here in a bit. And then across the way here, which is kind of cool for me, but that's the top of Rathdrum Mountain there. And there's a radio tower up there, and me and a buddy of mine used to drive 4x's up there in the day, and then I've gone up most of the way there in a couple different ways on my quad. The road that I'm on right now actually goes over to Mount Spokane, which is kind of cool also. I've never done that on the quad. That's on the list of things to do. So maybe that'll be this spring. So just wanted to do a little update. This is a lake adventure, but I happened to run into a mountain. So, all right, made it to Upper Twin. Another small lake, narrow but pretty large. That's looking towards Mount Spokane to the west. I'm at the boat ramp on Upper Twin. So lake number 5, Spirit Lake. Not a lot of easy places to video this lake, but I'll stop here along the road just to give you a glimpse. I'll probably stop down at the base. This is about halfway up the lake, heading east. The west end of Spirit Lake, the second boat ramp, obviously closed for the winter. I'm the first one to walk out this far, which is kind of interesting. Looking to the west now. Good amount of snow. And geese and ducks all hanging out together, which is kind of cool. Now we're at the east end of the lake, closer to city of Spirit Lake. And this is Spirit Lake. And I'm in front of Settlemyres. I figured I could get closer to the lake here, and sure enough I can. So just another view of the lake. I'll just pan by and let you guys take a look. Running out of daylight, so this is the eastmost end of Spirit Lake. They're parked with the boat ramps, bridge, and then stepping over to the riverside. And I am running out of daylight, so my lake number 6 is going to be ain't going to happen today. So, like I said, Spirit Lake. A little bit of sunset action going on.